Hi, Chris Cantelmo here with another vibration. So I'm getting interviewed by a lot of journalists these days, and I keep hearing the same question, and it's an important question. How did I discover that DMT is endogenous to, well, a lot of people have talked about DMT being endogenous, right? But I was the first one to realize it's actually the primary neurotransmitter of childhood before we hit puberty. That's the neurotransmitter, not serotonin. And how did I know that? Well, it's too precise. When you inhale DMT, the default perception stays there, but it just gets bigger. Everything gets bigger. There's much more in the visual field with DMT, and it's so precise. Everything gets more clear. What you'll hear from everybody, literally 100% of the people who inhale DMT, is that things get more real. And until you inhale DMT, that won't make any sense to you. But as soon as you inhale DMT, you say, "Oh yeah, I see what they mean." So once I realized that it's so precise, it's so real, it's not hard to jump to just say, "Oh, okay, well this isn't a mistake. This is not some drug. This is it. This is what childhood looked like." And then I go, "Oh, okay, if this is what childhood looked like, this must be the neurotransmitter of childhood." And then I started thinking about it, and once I was seeing visions of these spirits move around, they're in the outside world. You can put your hand between you and the spirit, and you block the view of them. That means they're in the outside world. Okay, so then I said to myself, you know what? That sounds a lot like what schizophrenics talk about, seeing things like this. Then it's not a real difficult leap to say, oh, okay, so if DMT is our neurotransmitter when we're kids, and then at a certain point, it stops being the neurotransmitter, except in schizophrenics. And what it happens around after puberty. So that's why schizophrenics get noticed after puberty, only because the rest of us fall away and go to serotonin-mediated perception. So, okay, now the other thing, autism. Like this whole autism spectrum is just utter nonsense. True autism is I also recognize this, and basically if you inhale too much DMT, it's quite terrifying, and it's like just getting completely reset. And I describe this visual field as the black field of death. It's like this pure black but shiny visual field, because shiny usually means a hint of like a glare, so black, like a white glare on a black field, but it's just like black glass, the visual field, and there are these little colored dots in it. And every time you look at you change your focus to a different one of the colored dots, there's little bing, 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 bing. So when you overdose with DMT, you go into this black field of death, and as you try to get out of it, you look at these different colored dots, you hear bing, 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 bing. It's very electronic. It's like a reset on a computer. But after that happened to me, that made me remember this. I heard this interview 25, 30 years ago about it with someone who had been diagnosed with autism and then came out of it later in life. And he was talking about what it was like in there. He was a real autistic where he couldn't talk, was always in a state of and he talked about being able to listen to his father and his mother. He was able to hear people around him, but he was stuck in this, what he described as basically the same black field of death that I saw. That's why I said, oh, that's what that kid was describing. So he was basically suspended in this reset, this permanent reset of his brain. And it's very obvious. It was very obvious. So the fact that I have a photographic memory and can link these two things together. I mean, people ask what makes me a genius, and it's basically I've got a photographic memory, and I can see patterns. I can link things. I can say, oh, okay, this must relate to this. This must relate to that. That's what a genius is. Chris Cantelmo here with a daily vibration.